Howdy, everybody. Bob Tallman for No Spin Rodeo. No politics, no BS, just hard-hitting news and rodeo commentary from two of the most trusted sources in our sport. Kendra Santos, Tommy Joe Lucia. Listen up. Here we go.
Well, a good Saturday morning to all those that are hung over in the halls of South Point or maybe at home feeding. It's the first Saturday, a little bit different kind of Saturday here at Las Vegas. We're here for episode 11, Kendra Santos, Greg Teagard, and I at the amazing South Point Hotel right here by the gold carpet across from the good food stuff at Coronado. Good morning, little coffee time. How is everybody? If I look at your faces, Kendra looks like from an energy level, she's at a 7. Greg looks like he's at a need a recharge. And absolutely. I don't even know what I am. Caffeine and nicotine keeps me recharged. How are y'all this morning?
I'm good. Wet hair Barbie and all. But I feel good. I'm on the airborne. Walnuts and blueberries are my go-to before.
Fresh blueberries?
Yes, sir.
Really?
I started about 5 this morning to knock some stuff out that I needed to write. And so fresh blueberries and walnuts, that's what I have in the morning to get me by till I can get to the Coronado.
Yeah, I do the little oranges. Greg, do you have any morning?
Me too. Cuties.
Cuties.
Yes.
Those are perfect because I can quickly get them peeled
yes.
and in
there
my
are
mouth.
always cuties in my backpack at all times.
Yeah,
yes.
Me too. Greg, what do you keep on you to keep going?
I just do a regular vitamin and then coffee gets me going. I'm not
Also,
very exciting, Greg.
I have
It is.
a good
I'm
oatberry hack that we do every morning before coffee, and that is we each have a cup of hot water with a fresh squeezed entire lemon in it, and that's the first thing that goes down the hatch for a shot of pure vitamin C, and also they say it's just really good to clean your body, clean your organs. While we're walking through all this smoke, and it's just good.
Yeah, I've read, it seems like lemon is always a fix, fresh lemon for everything. I don't need to be any more sour than I already am. But anyway, good morning, everybody. It's a beautiful day, nice and cool outside. It's interesting because the halls are filled. If you're not here or haven't been at the South Point, it's a unique thing.
BK!
Oh.
Come here, please. Oh, my God. Okay. Bomb it. Would you say something right here? You said the coolest thing in the world to me, that beyond the arena, the coolest thing for you will be what you will remember is the look on Coulter's face walking back into the arena and the fact that Brindle May is now into sparkles. Would you put your voice right here? What about last night? Opening round. Right here. But you got to get closer. You speak so soft.
That's close.
I mean, there ain't nothing better than the national finals in Las Vegas. That's where you want to be every year, and it's a dream coming here. I mean, this is my 10th time, but every year there's something new to me that I have a different outlook on what I want to look for, what I want to try to do, and I mean, it's just you get done with the regular season and you got a couple months to look forward to all the little things that go on with rodeo. So it's really fun to be here. I'm really enjoying it, and I'm going to do the best I can to enjoy every bit of it.
Say this one thing. When you rode into that building last night with Coulter, was there a moment? Was there a look exchanged, a word? No?
Not all the emotions and all the little moments that I see, they all kind of happen kind of before the rodeo, like during the grand entry and stuff like that. But when we get to warming up and by the time it's getting to rope and stuff, it seems like the older I got, there's a switch that I have to turn on when it comes to it. I got a job to do and I got to do my part and stuff, but I usually don't try to turn that switch on until the very last moment. So that's when I try to concentrate and worry about doing my job. But before like grand entry and before the rodeo and stuff, it's fun to play around and talk to these guys and see what's on their mind and see how they're doing and see what they want, and it's fun.
Thank you. Thank you for whipping by on your way to the arena.
Cowboy from his head toe to his toenails right here.
Yeah, I listen to you guys, so it's fun. Every podcast you guys done so far, I've listened. I'm a fan of people talking. I'm a fan of information. I'm a fan of, just rodeo news. I've always been a rodeo fan, so anytime I get a chance, this is way better than the radio. This is way better than any kind of a TV show. I enjoy it. You can learn a lot from these kind of stuff.
Thanks,
Well,
McKay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I really
Thank
wish
you.
I was a cowboy. Now he's got to try to figure out how to get out of here without getting his Sharpie out.
Yeah.
Wow. That guy is like, there's a handful, but that's the real deal right there. Yeah.
Derek Begay, what can you even say? He's cool as hell.
And an amazing human, right? It's just the whole package. Talent, great human.
There's not
Utah
an act.
Cowgirl Collective is here. There's my girls. How are you, ladies? Welcome to Vegas. Be careful. It's dangerous here.
Oh, poor Begay. Now he's not going to be able to get out of here.
Yeah, look what you did for him. He's got
Sorry.
picture upon picture upon picture upon picture.
Jeepers.
Okay, well, anyway, thank you. That was cool. But and I was just kind of saying, if you look at the halls now, that committee group that we talked about that came in, you'll see them start to trickle their way to Uber, right? Check out of their rooms, head back to Goshoban, Nebraska, or wherever it is they're from. And so it's an interesting changeover today. Bye, girls.
It is. And so should we talk about last night, round one?
Should we talk about round one? Yeah, let's talk about round one. I'll let you start, and then I'll shed some
Okay,
darkness on
poor
it.
Begay. We're going to have to help him leave.
You did it.
I
He
know.
was moving so smoothly
I know.
through here.
Okay.
I don't think he
anyway,
minds.
okay. So
Now he's running.
Yeah.
pure class was how they opened round one last night after taking the night off Thursday night with a moment of silence, bringing in people who were literally the first to run into an active shooting scene on the UNLV campus on Wednesday, putting those people in front of us so that we as a rodeo family could say thank you. I could tear up right now thinking about it. It was class. It was cowboy cool, big time, and it's like who we are. We're patriotic people, and those people risked their literal lives, and they made it possible for this show to go on, and then for all of us as rodeo people to bow our heads, and that Thomas and Mack Center to go absolutely silent before we bucked the first horse was something I was really proud to be there to see that.
I expected it, and I'm glad we did it, and it was very good. It was very good. And kind of if we're just talking about the opening, I was impressed because the grand entry is always a package that gets opened, right? You never really know. And I don't think they got to rehearse, right? They didn't,
It was all shut down.
yeah.
Right.
So that was a great grand entry. I'm just talking about the logistics, like the bareback riders that don't know how to ride a saddle horse and all of those things, and all of the rookies. There's a lot of rookies in that group.
That's what I was watching because the last two states to come in are California and then Nevada. And that's what I was watching. And as a mom, my son Taylor has carried the California flag and come in right at the end. He usually is right there riding right next to Jade Corkill representing Nevada or a Dakota Eldridge, one of those two. And they're the last in, which means they're the first out. So they lead the stampede out when everybody leaves. And I did watch how that went last night without rehearsal with all the first timers, including this year to carry the flag for California was Brushton Minton. He's going in there cold turkey, and I saw those cowboys out of respect for this event try to put themselves into some sort of order that made sense.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And you know, everybody loves the opening like that. But it's not without incident. Every once in a while, a cowboy will broadside one of the flag girls as part of the opening before. And nobody will ever forget Patrick Smith getting bucked off, which was funny since he got up and walked away. But it wouldn't have been quite so funny like the time that was it Wade Sundell got bucked off in the grand entry and had to miss the rest of the rodeo. That was not funny. No. So anyway, it's exciting for a reason because shit happens.
Yeah, and I was just impressed. I thought it went well because I suspected, right? And the other thing that I wanted to see if you had heard back in the halls of TNM, there's normally anticipation before the first round. But then when the first round gets postponed for 24 hours, I think we saw in competition and in a lot, even in some production elements, that anticipation having been stronger, built more anxiety, I think, and I could be wrong, but I think having that additional time didn't help the nerves, right? It switched up the minds. They're reshuffling. Did you see anything of that?
Well, but I like being down there in the tunnels and watching guys warm up and different things. I thought, there were some cool things that I saw. Well, yesterday afternoon, we had on the rodeo deep dive that I'm helping produce for Cowboy Channel that Amy Wilson is hosting. We had the show I called Rookie Revolution, and we had Keenan Hayes, Cade Saunier, and Dean Thompson on that show right before they're going to ride at their first horse ever. And I was so pleasantly surprised and proud at how these three young guys at their first finals, they showed up early. They were so at ease talking on live TV. It was very, very impressive. Like, kudos to their parents and their families because they were comfortable in the spotlight and they showed no jitters whatsoever last night. I thought it was really cool. I also saw special, walking down the hall that I passed ways when I was on my way to the press room. Here comes Caleb Driggers, and he's leading some of the first time guys, and right behind him is Marcus Terrio, and Marcus Terrio is at his first one, son of world champion Herbert, but guys, the Cooper boys and Driggers and different people like that have been such mentors, and they've Marcus Terrio is not nervous here.
Wow.
He remembers being in the stands here when he was a kid watching his dad, and he used to back before that was only two loops in the team roping. Marcus in the calf roping and the team roping as a little boy would sit there and go miss even when his dad was up, because he loved, my kids were the same way, he loved the magic show that was watching people have to rebuild.
Yeah.
And it was wild, and it added a whole nother element. But anyway, here he is, but this is nothing new to people, first timers like Marcus.
Yeah, to say that anybody that's in that warm-up tent above or anything, there's got to be some jitters, and I just wonder if the push of that, we're getting taken out by the sign. There is a very strong draft coming from the South Point Arena this morning in our location, taking out our no spin sign. Thank you, Greg. Greg saves the sign.
Clearing the smoke out.
Well, I thought, and then the other thing that I want to bring up, since we're kind of starting from the top, right? I have a hard time understanding, after how many years has this event been streamed now? 3, 4, 5 years? I don't know.
Streamed
on Cowboy Channel?
On the Cowboy Channel. I don't know the number.
It does seem like every year, the first performance, when everybody goes to log on, you get we're sorry, we're having unexpected traffic. I'm just saying, I did not expect to see unexpected traffic warning and not being able to log on this year. Now they got it working very, very quickly, and maybe, and I hope that's the case, that there's that many new subscribers, and that the load is such that that's the case every time. But it does. You're kind of like, click. No, not again.
I know it's tough timing, and the zillions of comments I heard was that it was like blurry, and I just wonder if something possibly happened to the high definition portion. I guarantee you, surely it'll be dialed in tonight.
We got the guy. So, Greg, comment. That's had nothing to do with the cameras or the output, I bet, huh?
No, it's a compression thing, just to allow them to push as much data through the internet and as fast as possible. Otherwise, you go blurry as opposed to freezing and getting the circle
Is
spinning.
it something that will be dialed in by tonight?
It really depends on their back end and how much throughput they can, if they can boost that up, there might be a limit to their service.
So it'll get blurry before it goes out.
Yes.
That's like a trigger.
Right. So the actual resolution of the screen or the signal will go down. So instead of HD, you'll go down to, get smaller and smaller, and then it pixelates, and then.
And that could be on the user's end too.
It could be. It could be a bunch of different
on
things.
your end. If your internet's not good,
or
it'll do the same thing on your end, right, Greg?
Right. And especially if you're like in the building trying to watch it with everybody else trying to watch it, it puts a lot of stress on the infrastructure.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, shall we just go ahead and talk about what happened in the bareback riding last night?
Yeah, let's do that. You start.
Okay, so Stay Smith's Risky Business met up with Rocker Shane Steiner. I feel like Rocker won the first. He struck early last year.
He struck early last year.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was the first round.
It was early.
I'd have to look back, but it was early.
So cool. Okay, it was his world champion stair wrestler dad Sid's birthday. That was cool. Coolest thing to me, I want to know the history on Rocker's hat, because that's not from 2023. Not sure. Put a call into Sid this morning to find out more about that. But really cool is that this new wave, kid rocker, who's a wild child, and like it or not, he's doing him, and I think that's cool. But he also has a sentimental side, and those spurs on his feet were Larry Mahan's,
Yep.
and then passed down to Ty Murray, passed down to Rocker Steiner, and Ty's had a huge influence on Rocker, and it may not look like he'd be sentimental or respectful, but he's very respectful, and he does heed history and care about history, and so there's more than just face value with Rocker Steiner, and I know that he's got a love-hate relationship with the fans or whatever, but I was harshly criticized when I was the editor of the Pro Rodeo Sports News, and I put Sid on the cover. My phone, that was before cell phones, but I put Sid on the cover, and for those of you who don't know, Rocker came by his sense of style and fashion.
Absolutely.
And honestly, and Sid, he'd be in a shirt. He was very buff, shirt way unbuttoned, tie-dyed jeans, even tattoos, piercings, long hair, dread, or what do they call it, cornrows?
Yep.
In some cases. But to me, good for you. You be you. I applaud that. A lot of the old timers called and said, "Kendra, how could you cancel my subscription?" And I would just say, "Love you. You're welcome to do whatever you want." But I applaud people who are their authentic selves. And if that doesn't cut the cookie cutter mold for cowboy, okay, maybe it's because I'm from California, but I am, diversity is cool. Derek Begay has a very different arena presence than Rocker Steiner, but variety is a spice of life, and I think it's great.
I think Rocker's good for rodeo. I don't want to go down the Rocker rabbit hole right now, I don't think, because we could.
No.
We got a lot to cover. I will say this. I think he's growing up a little bit and maturing along the way. I think that It's not just style and flair. Sometimes you can go a little too far with some of that stuff. Not taking anything about the competition, not taking anything away, because it was a great bareback ride. I did not think that the livestock overall, specifically in the bareback riding, was what it should have been in the first round. This is a personal narrative. I'm not a judge. I'm not going to try to be that guy. But Rocker had the right draw for him. Rocker's also built, he's built to make a horse look good. A small guy can make a horse look good. Rode him great. Again, I'm not taking anything away. However, there were a couple instances there that the horses, the guys, there was a few guys at the draw, they didn't have a chance to really show what they could do. Now, I understand that there's the luck of the draw, but for me, it was a little uneven. And in the bull riding, we'll talk about that. I thought it was a little uneven, and I didn't think it was quite the caliber of horses. I was surprised at a couple of the horses, frankly, in the bareback riding. So that's all I got to say about that.
And in theory, the Cowboys, through their event reps, picked them, but there's no doubt. I mean, we had some re-rides, and it wasn't because we had re-rides for reasons other than being felled at the gate. So, subpar.
Now, the amount of horses you've got when you got to pick 15, I get it, and it was good. Listen, I'm really not throwing a fit about this. I'm just saying, good for Rocker. It might have been a little bit different if the draw would have been a little different.
We also won't go into the rabbit hole of anything judging things, but I sit next to a steer wrestler who computes, who as soon as the 4 judges' scores go up, he averages them before the scoreboard does, and it was really noticeable that when one judge is like 5 points different from everybody else, it really impacts things. So that, whatever. We don't need to go to that.
I thought Jess, good showing. The bareback riding is going to be a fun watch.
Absolutely.
Right? You're not going to predict much on that. It's going to be a fantasy rodeo nightmare is what I predict, but we'll see. So on to the next.
You want to go to the steer wrestling?
Yeah.
So.
Holy cattle.
Yeah. So the thing is, I mean, there were some, crazy things, whatever. We ended up with one hazer on the ground. Dalton Massey, who, farm kid from Hermiston, Oregon, from a rodeo family, seems like a quiet, nice kid. And, all the blah, blah, blah heckling coming in from a lot of people that are like, oh, he'll crack, it's his first time or whatever. For him to be the last guy out and be 3-5, that was pretty dang cool for him and his family, I thought.
And his technique, and you would probably hear more about this throughout in all of your steer wrestling friends, but there's something to be said if you're not a rodeo person and you watch the steer wrestling. Even with this type of steers, they adjust their technique. They use the speed of the run to not, to make sure that they tip just this way and you don't fall bad. And he just nailed it, right? It was, it was very, it could have been different even for him. He nailed it, and great job. I think he's going to be strong the whole time.
It's cool, and not to go without notice, Tanner Milan hazed for him, and he owns the steer wrestling horse of the year, Eddie, and the fact that Dalton is riding the steer wrestling horse of the year here, as is Stephen Colling, that's a factor. Horsepower is so huge in every timed event, so really cool start for him.
Yeah, I mean, some of those times are going to be hard to get back out of. As we go, the aggregate, it's the average, but the aggregate, boy, all the way through this thing took a hit for lots of people. Anyway, keep leading us. I'll keep
Big
throwing
time.
in dumb comments.
Okay, so the team roping, Clint Summers and Jake Long. A lot of people. Okay, so Clint Summers owns the horse of the year, the head horse of the year. But for those who don't understand, hello.
Mr. Feist.
That was not what he rode last night.
This is the originator of it. I'm sorry.
So Clint Summers, who's one of the NFR switch enders, which means he's both headed and heeled here, which is a very small group. He did not ride his horse of the year, which goes into all the gamesmanship. Joe is his horse of the year. That was not him. I didn't even think that the announcers got the memo last night, but that was Transmission. And Transmission came from Trevor Brazil, who is Clint Summers' horse whisperer and spiritual advisor on all things horsepower, which is a smart move, right? And Transmission is 19 years old, and sometimes you don't bring your number one here. And last night was an example of why, because he brought the crafty old veteran, and the crafty old veteran was just what the doctor ordered.
Nails. Yeah, that's huge. That's interesting. That's very, very interesting.
So
that's cool. I didn't have anything specific on the team roping other than I did have Orly. Happy to see that he did good, at least on my fantasy team, unless they messed it up. So I think I had to run and take a call or something. So I only saw bits and pieces of the team roping.
Gotcha. Well, before we head into the saddle bronc riding for last night, cool as hell last night was the unfurling of the Billy Ettbauer NFR Icon banner from the rafters of the Thomas and Mack Center. Tonight we're going to see that done for Cody Ole, which couldn't be a better combination from both ends of the arena. Billy, of course, a 5-time world champion, 21 straight NFRs, like holds all these world records for scores and stuff, but Billy Ettbauer, there goes his wife, Holly. There he is.
Oh, there we have him.
Oh.
We're just
Will you
talking
just
about
say
you.
hi? We're just talking about you.
Oh
just
my
one hi.
God.
How about that timing?
Put your... Okay. Hello. Hello. Will you say 3 words before, and that's what you're usually good for, 3 words?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I'm just saying, for Billy Ettbauer for your name to drop permanently from the rafters at the Thomas and Mack, the highlight of all highlights for the Money or Mud guy is 51 NFR victory laps in that building. At least before you rock on and go have breakfast with Holly. Is there one moment, one night that stands out for you in that building above all others?
Well, you're probably going to have to say the 2004, for the 10th round in Cool Alley, But I mean, there's a lot of them. Like,
was that 93 points?
Yes.
Were you not 93 in back to back on Cool Alley?
Yeah, the year before I was, and I don't remember which round it was on that one, but yes, I was, I thinking that was only 2 times that I was on her too, So thankfully we just made the whistle the last time, or both times for that matter, and it was just it was a lot of fun. It was pretty cool to have everybody that into it, but being the 10th round horse of the year, had the rider, everything was the perfect setup, and like thank God we rode her. So
well, I always used to use the term, if you went down, it was with both barrels blazing, because you never held back, and for that, like, I'm the biggest fan of all, but I mean, the memories that you made for all of us in that building.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And like that, I didn't. I mean, to me, to be a bronc rider, you can't be scared of that ground. And it didn't matter to me if I bucked off, but I wanted to jump spur out, and I wanted my feet in their neck every jump. And I'm not going to tell you I got that every time, but that's all I was trying to do. And I didn't care if my head hit the ground because I was getting or trying to get that. Then that's what it takes. So I just can't be scared of that ground.
Well, to be the most fierce competitor ever and be the most humble cowboy ever is a pretty cool combo under one hat. So
I'm just very blessed with it. So thank you. I greatly appreciate it. Everybody, all the fans is what made it all worth it, is that right there. So thank all you guys. So
thank you. Go have breakfast with Holly.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. See you guys. So cool. I mean,
how cool is that?
That's I swear
this
that's
is why this
life.
spot rocks. This spot
Oh my
It's the
gosh.
best.
is the best.
I also thought it was super cool that last night is the night that they turned the bucking stock of the year loose under a spotlight in the arena. And Pickett Pro Rodeo's Nightcrawler, descendant of Night Jacket, Calgary Stampede's Explosive Skies, Saddle Bronco of the Year, and Pete Carr's Bayou Bengal. It's really pretty fun when they put them out there one at a time, just in a spotlight. And like Explosive Skies said, I'm not leaving.
Yeah.
I'm going to take another
Yeah.
round. And
Yeah.
then if I want another round, I'm going to go ahead and do that too. And it just shows, like, we don't control these animals.
Nope.
We love them, and they dig their job. And you're not great at your job unless you love it. So same applies to our animals. Anyway, Zeke Thurston and Cade Bruno split the win. You know, what do I even say? In my early NFRs, it was, Skeeter Thurston, Zeke's dad, and I almost think that this was Cade's first victory lap. Is that right? I don't know
think
Cade
so.
yet.
I think so.
So I don't even know how many NFRs, to just be brutally honest, he's been to, but that was cool. And the bronc riding is where I noticed a lot of big spreads in the points, but whatever. We'll just let that one go. You want to say anything?
I thought the bronc riding. I thought the bronc riding was the closest to a first round kind of results for me, with the pin of horses, and there were some guys with one leg that drug a little bit. There were some guys, and I'll say that I really noticed in the bronc ride, and I thought the judges did a good job, because it's fractions of a second difference. It's not just if you spur. Remember that. It's when your points are hitting, right? And and if you don't kind of realize that, it's funny, even not tried and true rodeo people, you can kind of look, Greg, and see and go, wow, that was a great bronc ride. You don't even sometimes even really know why, but it was just because that's supposed to look like butter, right? It's just supposed to look like butter. And so I thought bronc riding was good. It does not surprise me about Zeke. So, I thought it was what I expected for the first night.
I gotcha.
didn't see nothing really shocking for me.
Okay, so let's just move along to the tie down. There was a really special moment that happened as John Douch took his victory lap right down in front of Oat and I last night, and I don't even know if Oat noticed it or not, but having spent a lot of time with Joe Beaver over the years, and he opened his gates to the 8X, him and Jenna, for my son Taylor. Joe, who's commentating, standing right 6 inches from the roping box. And then his boy John is taking the victory lap. And, most people in the stands or even watching on TV, they don't know who John's pointing at. John was pointing at Joe, and Joe's back there. It's like he's swinging the microphone like a rope, but with a celebratory swing, And, where do you even start? I won't make a long story of it, but I will say that in our rodeo family, there are really special bonds with people. And, by the way, if you think John Douch is a bad cat, he is a Joe B. protege supreme, and I've seen him wait till his little brother Kobe comes of age to get his card. He's bad.
Wow.
and he's coming. And but I mean, I've had Thanksgiving at Joe and Jenna's and with my boys and the Douch boys, and Joe has helped that kid with horses, rigs. There were times when Taylor lived at the ranch that Joe would just leave a rig running with a horse or two and send him to the Wednesday night jackpot. Go get him, boys. You guys need to figure out how to be 6 or 7. And so the mentorship. And by the way, Cheyenne Guillory, now McCartney, who just won the National Finals breakaway roping average, She got married to Cody McCartney in the Dominican Republic. Punta Cana, I think, is the beach where they got married on October 7th. Cheyenne's dad died. He had a heart attack in 2020. He was her biggest fan. I got to know him at Roy Cooper's place. Another story. But who walked her down the aisle on that beach? Joe Beaver.
Cool.
And
wow.
and Joe and Jenna lost their only son, Brody, who we all love so dearly. But what gets them up every morning is helping kids like John Douch, my boys. I mean, Joe and Jenna love these boys like their own. And
Yeah.
Bonnie Beaver, Joe's proud mother, she loved our kids the same, like family. And anyway, so that was
That's
a really
cool.
special moment. And
Cool
then
moment.
you come over here to the South Point to the Go Around Buckles, and who's doing it but Flint Rasmussen and Joe Beaver. So, I mean, it's just cool stuff.
Yeah, and as we're moving along, it was, there was some other stuff in the calf roping that was pretty shocking. Caleb's deal, Shad missing a foot there.
He misstrung his calf to be really fast.
Yes,
For
to
sure.
be really
Yeah.
fast. And the second thing I pulled out of is Riley missed the barrier by 17 miles, and still. So I still,
At the back end, he's like 8'7".
That's what I'm
right?
saying.
Yeah, that
so,
was amazing. The start can't be over. I mean, the Bulldoggers, the team rippers, the calfers, if you miss the barrier, you put yourself in a panic pickle fast, because that back end comes so fast, and it's all about the start.
Yep.
And they all say, if you get a start, your shot's right there. It's easy. But if you miss the barrier,
Yep.
yikes. And
yep.
yeah,
So I'm not discouraged by still having Riley, because he took a situation that he recognized, you could tell right away, and just greased lightning. So it'll be, it's not good for Caleb, right? And so
yeah, but Speed Williams and Rich Skelton won 8 straight world championships, and virtually every year, Speed found a way to take them out on opening night. No, I'm not using that as a slam, but it's like if he didn't wave it off, he lost his rope, it was just like, it almost got to where we expected it, but it was like this blessing, because then they got to go for 9 rounds and killed it.
Right. No.
So,
right. Yeah.
yeah.
I agree. It could have been.
So Caleb Schmidt missing last night.
Yeah.
Now he gets to just let his hair fall.
Right. I get
That's
it.
going to be so
Change
fun.
of attitude, right?
Oh my
I'm just
God.
going to go bust him now.
And by the way, he missed with his first loop last night. Going for first. He's going to go for
Absolutely.
first every night, and that's going to be
Yep.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting. Okay, moving right along. What you got next?
So Sissy won the barrel race last night. I thought, to me, the biggest thing that happened was that there were 8 clean runs. 7 girls hit at least 1 barrel. That's going to be a big deal as we start. That was the first round, but
I wonder, 8 barrels down. I think that's got to be a record here
well,
of some sort.
I
would
don't know if
assume.
it is, but when that's
That's a
happening
lot.
on the first round, interesting. And Emily Beisel hits 2 barrels on Chongo. Emily Beisel and Chongo are famous for winning NFR go-rounds. So, but what do you do? Like, if your horse is maybe a little short in the first round, it gets really interesting. You see people like Haley Kinzel, like, she's been in the position before where, hey, just keep it clean the last 3 rounds and you're the winner. She very clearly rode Sister around that first one, but then they bumped the second one, and the confines and those fences so close, walls so close, it makes it really interesting. But now I'm curious to see if Emily Beisel she has another horse, I don't think I remember that horse's name, that she killed him on, like a brown horse at the end of the season. She's got the luxury of maybe going every other night on her horses and keeping them fresh. She's got a deep well to run to there, and so do a lot of them. I don't know how many horses Brittany Posey Tanazi brought, but some of these girls are loaded for bear. They don't just have one horse here.
Yeah, but I don't know. The horses being fresh obviously wasn't a problem. Now, the ground, which is always in conversation, I made a couple calls this morning, and because we're running long today, I'll save this for later. The process for putting in the ground for the NFR is different than at other indoor rodeos, which I thought was really interesting. But when you look at this, it looked a lot like they got to get their, and again, I'm not a barrel racer, so I don't want to get killed on anything, but angles, speed, when do you check them down, all of those things. And that's not, again, I'm not the expert, I'm not saying the exact right things, but I think they're going to dial that in. These horses don't typically hit a barrel with a full shoulder. There's a little bit of error on both, wrong angle, too much in their mouth, whatever it was, right? And so I think we'll see a lot of that fix. It was interesting to see that as they start to run, they start to recognize what, I'm not going to make that mistake. And so I think we'll see a significantly different barrel race tonight. And by the way, the ground, and then we'll talk about this some other time, but it gets better because it's really about compaction in there, right? And how they compact it and the moisture and it coming to temperature, believe it or not.
Well, the good news is there were no scary moments. No horses went down. No major slips or stumbles. That's always good news. And we all love it when girls, toward the bottom of the ground get checks. And that will happen because they will dial it in.
And I think it was 8 100ths separated, right? I mean, not counting the barrels, but if you looked at the runs, it was tight for a first round as a whole, which is really a compliment to first round ground. So there we go.
Right on. Okay, so Kai Hamilton's 86.5 wins the bull riding on opening night, and 9 rides is a lot of rides.
I think that the bullpen was very uneven. Again, everybody knows I'm not a bull rider, but I've produced this stuff for a long time. I thought the bullpen was uneven. A lot of rideable bulls, which I don't have a problem with, by the way, in the first round. A lot of rideable bulls, uneven bullpen, in my opinion, which affected some of the guys. But I think what stood out to me probably stood out to you. If you remember in an earlier podcast, I mentioned the Wilderness Circuit Finals and people competing in it when they've got big records to make. And I almost last night, when I recognized that Stetson, I assumed it in the bronc riding, that maybe that corner and when that horse threw himself up under him. But it was obvious in the bull riding that Stetson's hamstring, to me, now again, I'm not saying this is personal narrative, affected him getting around a corner that he normally never misses. And what worries me a little bit, and I think this is common chatter, right? I'm not breaking any ground, but a hamstring isn't something, if it's significantly giving him issues, that's not something that you typically ride through. And so
hamstrings and groins both.
Yeah. And so there is not a tougher family, and he's smart, and so it'll be interesting. And it's also the first round. If you think about it, if you think you got to make this injury get you through the 10, you're going to react differently in the first round because you're trying to survive, right? So I think he'll find a balance. But and everybody's noticed this, that's a big deal, and we'll see. And I heard he did not go to the sports medicine room, and so we don't really know, right, how bad this is hurting him or not.
I'll know today at the middle of the day. After I write a couple stories, I'm helping to produce Rodeo Deep Dive, which is live 1:30 to 2 on the Cowboy Channel every day. And today we're doing a spin-off show, actually a spin-off from the No Spin Rodeo podcast about re-rides. And our guests today are Tuff Hedeman, Josh Frost, and Stetson Wright. And so I will have the chance, to visit one-on-one when I'm whisking him from his Resistol autograph signing that he has to be there till the tick of 1:30, and we go live with the show at 1:30. So I get to be the bruiser bouncer that gets him through the crowd without a Sharpie to go on live TV. But we'll know more to talk to him. But like every great champion, if you think you're going to get an excuse out of Stetson Wright's mouth, you're going to have a long wait.
No, but I agree. He's not going to do it.
Right.
He's not going to say it.
That doesn't mean it's not real, though.
That doesn't mean that it's, there really isn't much of a bigger fan than I am of Stetson. And I mean that. I think he is super for our sport. Great human, comes from a great family. He's Utah. I'm Utah. But it bothers me, right? I'm like, And when it happened at the circuit finals, I was like, well, it was bad because the first day of the circuit finals, I was like, Stetson's here, and he's gonna, when he nods his head, just like Billy, like all of the greats, when they say go, they're going. They don't care where it's at or what they're on, what they drew.
Right. They believe they can ride whatever's run in for them. Like Ty Murray said once at the PBR finals to me, I don't care if they run in Godzilla. There's nothing here. There's nothing in this world I cannot ride. He was in such a zone, and that's where those guys live. It's different. It's different.
They're different, and so, anyway, it bothered me. And then, sure enough, the last perf, and at the moment, right, he got up, hobbled a little bit, and I had not had my fault. I didn't do a follow up. I didn't do any checking on that, but I don't know if anybody could because I think they kind of keep to themselves. So this was, I think, the first that anybody kind of saw that maybe this is an issue.
I gotcha.
It's going to wreck fantasy people all over the world, by the way.
Well, we'll hope. We'll hope for the best because everybody, what we all want to see, including the Cowboys themselves, is may the best man win, and we want to see everybody at 100% go head to head. That's what we're here for. So we don't want anybody to be handicapped or at a disadvantage, So.
Now, you probably haven't had time, but you convinced me to be a part of the Fantasy Tattoo League, which, if I understand it right, the last place person gets a tattoo. Is that correct?
The first place person, if I understand it correctly, this is my first year playing also, the first place person gets to pick the tattoo for the last place person. I think there is an out. You have to give generously to a charity to get out of that. But in theory, say if I win and you lose, I pick your tattoo, and maybe even its location. I'm not sure, but
well, it's interesting. This is kind of a news flash because you probably haven't checked it yet, but I'm currently setting 7th in that after the first round, and the person that's holding the last place proudly is you. So
Am
you might,
I?
yeah, you're way down
Cellar
there.
dweller.
You might want to start thinking of the location first, and what, if you want a minion. What you want?
You want a tattoo of you?
No.
No. You know what? Listen, you put me on the spot on this yesterday, and I was so proud of my choices, and I'll also say I was a little bit of a girl with my choices because I picked I picked people. Oh, he's got such a good heart. I really hope he wins. He deserves to win. His horse just got hurt, so he has to buy a new horse. So I really want him to win, so he has enough money to buy a new horse. That's the kind of I did a little bit of, but just
excuses are cheap. Even a minion can say that.
Round one, I'm not concerned, but really I'm last.
Yeah, you really are. Yeah, you're really last. Well,
alrighty then.
It's any final comments, Greg? We haven't heard much from you. Anything on your end?
The only thing I got to watch last night was the bull riding, and I kind of agree with you. I thought the bulls were kind of, some where it looked like they just let the guy ride around, and others were kind of rank. So
there were spinners, and there were some that were different. Maybe could be in the spinner pin, but a significantly different type of a bull turned back. And then, you talked about the tunnel. Sure enough, I'm going to the Legends Luncheon in the tunnel, and there's a huge wreck in front of me. And I sat there in the tunnel for an hour.
Oh, the Lady Di tunnel? That's what you're talking about?
Yeah.
The Las Vegas Lady Di tunnel?
Ugh. And right in front of me, and I sat there for an hour and 45 minutes in the tunnel.
Oh.
Yeah, so huge traffic problem there on my way. I didn't make it. I didn't even make it to the Legends luncheon. Glad that I wasn't in a wreck, but I'm like, come on, Kendra. Quit forecasting stuff. Minions like me don't want to die in the tunnel. And
I know,
Vegas.
but I'm just telling you, every single day we're going through the tunnel, and then all the brake lights hit in front of us, and people start honking, and I'm like, this is how Lady died, and I don't want it to be me in Las Vegas.
Well, thank you all for joining us. I do want to remind all of you that are at home and listening and not able to come to Vegas, you have an opportunity to get involved. Send us some feedback. Remember, it's nospinfeedback@gmail.com, or the phone number is written on my card for the anonymous text line, 817-668-2395, 817-668-2395. We need some of you people that are out, not here in Nevada. Shoot us some notes, shoot us some comments, let us fill you in. If there's something you want us to dig up, we probably have the sources to find out the answer. So on behalf of the great Greg Teagarden and the First Lady of Pro Rodeo Journalism and myself, Tommy Joe Lucia, thank you for joining us. Thank you to the South Point Hotel, Mr. Gahn and Mr. Growney for having us here. We'll see you tomorrow morning for No Spin Rodeo right here at the South Point live in Las Vegas. See y'all.
Thanks.